Okay, good morning. Happy Sunday Fun Day. Thanks for joining me. Whether you're joining live this morning, Sunday at 10-ish a.m., or whether you join in later, welcome. Do say hello. Let us know where you're from. Today, I wanted to feature the fun sponges. These are one of those things that are sometimes overlooked in the catalog, but for those of you who have been stamping with me or with Stampin' Up, know that this has kind of been a catalog original. At least it has been since I've started stamping. Now, this is a 3-pack. I've just happened to cut one in half here. And they're relatively inexpensive. They sell for $7 for the 3. And I do want to show you how you can maximize these sponges and incorporate them in your day-to-day. Now, I also want to know who owns these, who has some of these, because like I said, I feel they're a staple in our crafting kits. And so if it's something you don't have, you will want to, because all the different sponges that we offer all have a different purpose. And this is just kind of the most inexpensive, easy go-to sponge that we have. So like I said, there's 3. And I cut mine down right off the bat to use for stamping in my inks. And let me just kind of show you. I've got some that I've pre-done already. Here are my brights. So as you can see, I break them down so that I can use them per color. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the stamp, you're going to take the sponge, and you're going to cut it directly in half. Now, some folks I know like them a little bigger, so they'll just cut this into thirds. I actually will cut this into quarters and then into 1/8, because I feel that this is enough sponge to get me going, and I may have to replace it, but you know what? It's usually a few years down the road before I have to replace one that's been used up and cut into 1/8. So that's how I like to do mine. But again, you do yours. I like to maximize how many I can actually get out of one sponge. And so because I'm cutting these into 1/8, guess how many I get? You got it. So that's how I cut them. Then the best part is to try and help avoid the inky fingers. As you can tell, I've been playing the last few days. I've got inky fingers. Is I'll just use one of the current punches and punch it, fold it in half, and staple. Now you can use a circle punch, you can use a tab punch. I now have been using the timeless label punch just because I like the fun little curved edge that it has. And then it also allows me to stamp something with the same ink to help me easily identify. I mean, I could go to the effort and I could actually write what it is. In fact, back when, I don't know if anyone remembers this tab punch Stampin' Up! Used to sell, they had a coordinating stamp that I'd stamp, and I'd actually write the actual name. Now, it's so dark you can't see it, but it actually does say Early Espresso on there. But now, just current, I actually just stamp. This is a fun stamp from the Playful stamp set, and it just gives it that cute little look. So again, that's just going to help you keep your fingers less inky, and a great way to kind of organize your sponges. And I just keep them in one of these little Stampin' Up! Crates for easy access. Okay, so there you go. Quick and easy tip number 1. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is using your sponges in your crafting. Actually, let me start with this. A lot of us have seen kind of the whole stencil. Create a stencil. What I did is I ended up punching out a circle. But again, you can do this with any shape. And I'm going to do this one with, actually, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to do this on yellow paper with this. And I'm going to do Mango Melody and try and make a little bit of sunshine. I feel like it's gone away today. I'm just going to dump those out so I have them easily accessible. I'm just going to go tap, tap, tap. And then I'm going to start off of my cardstock. I want to start off on the scrap that's around it, just so that it doesn't get the big blob of ink right off the bat. Because as soon as you start inking this, and especially if you have a well-inked ink pad, it will get messy. So just start off and then rub inside. And you're just going to go around in circles. I'm going to go a few times just to kind of make it nice and dark. So depending on how dark you do want your image will depend on how much ink you put on the surface. So in this case, I really do want to see that change in color, but I don't want it too blotchy. And that's the reason why I'm just kind of stamping off here first and then blending in so that it doesn't get blotchy in the center of my circle, which in the end is going to be my sunshine. Now, and then when you lift this off, you can see the beautiful stencil mark. So this is a great way to make polka dots on your card, make some back scenes. Same sort of thing. So although I used my punch for this, you can use a stencil. And now I'm pulling out an old cloud because I want to do something with clouds. Which reminds me, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the next paper pumpkin, which you have until March 10th to subscribe to, is actually kind of a outdoorsy theme. It has stencils in it that has sun rays and it has some clouds. So I can't wait to get my hands on it. And the stencil and the sponge is actually a free gift that Stampin' Up! Is giving to you in this month's kit. So I highly recommend that you subscribe to that if you haven't. If you want me to add it to an order, I can, or you can go directly to my paper pumpkin and choose me as your demonstrator and make sure you select that. You can purchase a subscription month to month. You can purchase a 3-month or a 1 year. Oh, look at this. I ended up going to grab my pool party ink, but what I really want for this one is I want to use my Whisper White craft ink. Now, same thing, I should have put a tab on my white ink, but I haven't got around to that yet, but I will. So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. It's actually really good if you usually just get used to using one corner, which I wasn't doing when I was demonstrating that to you. But that way, for whatever reason, you pick up the wrong sponge, you're not getting a color into your ink pad. You're limiting it to one corner. So if you just get in the habit of going to one corner for your sponging to pick up your ink, I think that'll benefit you in the long run for those accidental oops that end up occurring. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm taking the ink, the Whisper White, and I'm just dabbing in the stencil. Now again, this is a retired stencil I'm using. I don't usually part with my stencils, but like I said, there is some fun stencils coming in that next kit you're going to want to get your hands on, especially for clouds and sun rays. Okay, so I hope I've gotten enough ink in there. I realize I could have re-inked my craft pad, but I think it's enough for you to actually see what's underneath. But again, the benefit of these sponges is that they're soft. They're very soft, they're durable, they help you get into the spaces you need to, and then it also gives that whole sponge look. So it's not smooth necessarily, but it's got some texture to it. And there you go. Look at those fun clouds. And again, it's all made easy with the sponge. Okay, and I will be posting all the completed projects later today, so please follow along. Till about 5 o'clock, you'll see some fun stuff posted on Just for the Love of Stamping. Do like the page, follow the page if you haven't already, share it with a friend so they can see these fun tips. Okay, so I showed you the stencils, I showed you sponging on there. Now I want to show you using an embossed image. Now, I don't know how well that's coming through on the video, but this is ran through the embossing folder with one of the new dies. It kind of looks, I don't even know the name of it. Don't worry, I'll post a copy of it, but it's kind of got some diamond shapes to it. It's very fun and bold, and you'll see in a minute how it pops. So again, I'm using my rainbow colors because I want to make a rainbow card. You know, March is tomorrow, and with March comes St. Patrick's Day. Lots of green, but you know what? I'm all about the rainbow and the pot of gold at the end. So let's do some fun rainbow colors. Again, I'm going to start with my red. In fact, why don't I get these all open so that they're ready to go? And this is a tip too, when you're doing inks and you're using multiple colors, it's a good idea to actually get it set up, organized, make sure you put the right color inks besides the right color of ink pads, just so that again, there is no oops, because you would hate to accidentally use your red sponge in the yellow ink pad. Yeah, that does get messy. Raise your hand if this has happened to you before, because I know it's definitely happened to me a few times. Okay, so we've got the lovely colors of the rainbow. This is basically the whole Brights collection. So in case you're unaware, Stampin' Up! Does sell their products in color coordinating sets. So there's 4 of them, and this is the Brights collection. Who are my Bright fans? We've got Brights, Subtles, Neutrals, and Regals. So I would love to know what your favorite collection is. For those that are aware and know what Stampin' Up! Products are, I understand this is new to some of you. Okay, so I've got everything all set up. I'm ready to go. So I'm going to start with my red, and I'm just going to again tap it in a corner, and I'm going to tap off a bit before I start, remember, because I don't want large chunks kind of going on, and I'm just going to start brushing. I'm going to brush one way, I'm going to brush the other, and that's going to bring the darker shade into the middle together. Look at that pop. Now can you see what that design is? Super fun. So again, I'm picking up more ink, so I'm just tapping off first, and I'm starting at one end, and I'm just kind of brushing one direction, and then I'm going the other direction because I just want to make sure that those gaps are all filled up. Okay, I'm going to move on to number 2. Same thing, tap, 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 dab on the paper first and start pulling across. I'm going to pull across the other way because sometimes I've got ink in spots on the sponges that I'm not necessarily doing. Starting off, whoops, and then going back on. You just want to make sure you're holding that good so that it doesn't kind of bend as you're doing that. But the trick is to keep it flowing in one direction. You don't want to stop and start from the middle. And reason being is that you'll get darker shades where you start. That's the reason why we're starting off the page and moving off the page. So now I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight, same thing, starting off and moving across. So off one side to the other, and then off one side to the other. You can kind of see there that these 2 yellows are blending into one. One doesn't look as dark. So again, I'm going to grab my Mango Melody, and I'm just going to add some more just to darken it up to make sure I truly see that difference in the gradation between the 2. Although I've gotten a lot of ink on this yellow, and that's probably why it's a little dark. Okay, and now I'm going to grab my Granny Apple Green, same thing, off. Anyways, you get the point, right? I'm going all the way across with all the colors. I don't need to finish because I think you get the point. I'll just, this one I do have the card completed. Actually, now that I've said that, I'm going to just finish it because everything's all opened right here. And this way I won't have to do it again. So again, I'm going all the way across. And I'm going to start off on this side and go all the way across the other way. And this is just going to help make it bold. But look at that emboss folder pop. So you can do this with any embossing folder, any image, just add some color once it pops, because it just makes it that much more interesting rather than just embossing a colored piece of cardstock, right? So this way you can use your inks to get a different look. Okay, and now I'm using Gorgeous Grape. Again, just going one direction and then the other direction. Anyway, there you go. So fun rainbow colors. And here's my final card. So this is using that fun $1 Million Achiever stamp set. Rhonda Wade, fabulous stamper. She designed a stamp set called Ridiculously Awesome. Here it is right here. You'll be seeing me use this a lot. I know I did a little bit last year. This is in the main catalog, and it goes wonderful with sunshine, funshine, fun day kind of cards. So I hope you like that one. Again, pictures will be posted afterwards. So we're just going to move the inks up there because we are going to be using them here again in a moment. So that's embossing, dry embossing. So that's called dry embossing. Now I've gone ahead and I've heat embossed some colors. So here is this new stamp set that's coming, Butterfly Brilliance. It's super gorgeous. This is available March 1st to customers. And in fact, I'm going to be hosting a paper craft party at the end of this month. So watch for that. You are not going to want to miss it because there are beautiful, beautiful cards made, which this may even end up being one of them. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and done heat emboss on 2 cards. I've done it in white and I've done it in black. So if you're new to stamping and you want to see how to heat emboss, I do have a video on my YouTube channel. You can go check that out. And I'll also post a link here for you in a little bit. So again, using our sponges, just like we did with the dry emboss, the card before, I'm going to do the very same thing with the inks on this. So I'm stamping off because again, I want that cluster of ink that's formed to go onto my scrap paper before I apply it to my image. I'm going to start in the center of my image and I'm going to pop out. And therefore, hopefully it's getting lighter on the way out than it is in the middle. And look at that red pop. Now I haven't tested this with these fun colors, so this is going to be a first, but like I said, I'm all about the rainbows here. So I'm stamping off and starting in the center, making sure it's nice and dark in the center, and then working my way off. And then look at that, just pop. It makes that black ink pop even more than it was. So here's the granny apple, again, using my sponge, starting in the center to make sure that's where the darkness is occurring. And then on the way out, it's lightening up. But again, the dark is kind of in the center of my butterfly. Now I'm going to take my Coastal Cabana and do the same thing. And then look at that, just pop. And now you can blend so that there's no white showing. Like down here, there's a little bit of white from this. I'm just going to go over with my sponge again, just to kind of fill the gaps. I want to make sure there's no white showing. I'm going to take my purple, my Gorgeous Grape is the color, stamp that off. And again, go over top. Look how bold and beautiful that is. Where are my butterfly fans? I'm hoping some of you are out there. Now, I know some of you love to color these and may rather color than using sponges, but sponges is a fast way to color a surface in a short amount of time. So if you don't have all day to get a card made, this might be a good option because you can color the surface pretty darn quick to get what you need. So now I'm going to do it in the yellow. And we're just going to make that pop. There, isn't that gorgeous? Like I said, I'm going to share with you the cards after. I also did one in Soft Subtles with the white. Here it is here. It doesn't pop the same as the black and the bright colors. So it really does just depend on the style and who you're making the card for as to which way you're going to go. But again, I'll post pictures so you can actually see the final projects because I think they're absolutely fabulous. Okay, couple of last things I want to show you. One is bringing back the old Shabby Stamper. Now, way back when there was a lot of shabbiness going on, and if you follow me a little bit, I do also try and keep up a blog called Not So Shabby Moments. I love shabby stamping. And what I'm doing here is I am just tearing the sides of this cardstock so that it gives it that rustic look. And I'm tearing as close to the size possible because I do not want to use up all of the main area because I do still want to stamp on this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my sponge, my Early Espresso sponge, and I'm taking my Early Espresso ink. And I am brushing the sides with that. So again, another great way to use your sponge. Like I said, it's pretty flexible. It can get into those spaces where you need it. And now this is just giving a soft look. And that's what happens when you take your ink directly to your sponge. Now, if I was to have this on the paper and do the same thing, it actually darkens even more. So because I'm putting pressure on the sponge, on the base, you can actually see that pop even more, and you're covering the surface just a little bit more into the inside to make it pop. So either way works. You can either just sponge on the side or sponge this way for that shabby look. Now, I may also want to stamp my image at this point, but what I wanted to show you, which probably should have followed from the spritzing episode from last week, is I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to spritz the other side. So I just want to get my cardstock watered. Now my hands are already inky, so good thing I'm doing this from the back end and not the front. Now again, pretend the front has been stamped with a greeting that you want. And I'm just crinkling it up so that it gets a nice worn, torn look. Now, because of the water on the other side, it may end up bleeding some of this water on the front that we did, and that's okay because it's all about that torn look. But as it turned out, it was okay. It didn't bleed too bad. And then if you wanted to rough it up some more, because this side is fairly dry, it's the back that's moist, is you can just rub your sponge over top to get that crinkly effect. Isn't that fun? And then one more tip with the same sponge while we have it out, and you'll see because I decorated my card with it, is I want to go ahead and color up some of my linen thread, or maybe it's some ribbon that you have. Either way, this technique will work. And I kind of shared this with the ink session that I did, episode I did, but all you're going to do is use that same color, that sponge that you've chosen for that color, and just use that to set into the ink pad to hold down the string or the ribbon, and just pull the ribbon through so that it gets the color of whatever ink. But because you already have this done, you're not inking or wasting any other paper to try and get that. And then that way you actually have some ink left over on it. The next time you go grab it, there's probably some that you can use for a project. So here's my final project for that one. I've added a little bit of gold just to spruce it up a little bit. And this is heat embossed with clear Versamark, sponge with a little bit of petal pink. It's hard to kind of see here, but hopefully you'll see that in the pictures. And splattered with some Wink of Stella just to kind of pop that shine a little bit. So although it's rugged, it's shabby, it still has a little bit of glitz to it. So I hope you like that. Now I've got one last super fun thing to show you, especially those moms out there who are big crafters. Since I have one sponge left in my kit, I want to show you how you can turn this into something super fun. Although, you know what, there's a couple of things that you could probably do with this than what I just showed you. So like I said, they're very flexible, they're very sturdy. So I'm just squishing that in half. So it's round, I'm squishing it in half. And then I'm folding it in half again. So I've got it all squished, fold in half. And I'm taking my scissors. Now these are my ribbon scissors or fabric scissors, so I know they're gonna work super good. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to cut that baby right in half. So check that out. I cut this in half. And so maybe I wanna do some large polka dots in my scrapbook. I can do that. I can just stamp this up, squish down, and I've got some bigger polka dots that I can use for larger surfaces. That's one way. Maybe you want to use it for cleaning. You can use these in your kitchen and clean your dishes with them. But now you've got two sponges out of one. So you're just maximizing your dollars spent. So remember how I was showing you how you can go ahead and sponge the sides. This one I've cut out a scallop circle, and I'm just kind of rubbing the sides with my ink like so. In fact, I should have done the crinkle thing with this one too. That would be super cute. but I need to show you this lettuce was needed for my hamburger. Now, what a fun kids project is that? I've got my onion that I've just kind of sponged with some white ink, and I've actually got some little circles in there using my marker. I've got a tomato that I've used my little sponges to put ink on. And then I've got my little burger, which is a circle patty. Again, you can find that technique in one of the other, in the chipboard episode. My lettuce and my cheese, where I've just kind of sponged the edges. And then the top bun, I've just taken my little blend and added a few little seeds so that it actually looks like a big burger top. So I hope that's another fun crafting idea for you to share or try out with your kids. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the projects being posted on Just for the Love of Stamping. Thanks everyone, have a great day.